to photo, video, do it, whatever you like. And we can give you the content afterwards in the Dropbox folder. So we're streaming there, there, and there. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, powered by Celsius Beverage. If this is your first time tuning in, you can now catch us live right around 1 o'clock every Wednesday. We shoot on our Instagram account at Shrimp Tank Boca, on our Facebook account, of course, and my LinkedIn account, Jason R. Hill. And every week we post our guests up on our website at theshrimptankpodcast.com to click themselves, on their profile, and then, of course, connect with them, one-on-one through DMs on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all of our guests love hearing feedback from their show. So this is the podcast where Street Smarts and Book Smarts collide and get partnered with the FAU Adams Center for Entrepreneurship. Really get the most out of every guest that comes in here. Really find the do's and don'ts running a business. I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Roland Kidwell. I see the parking lots are clearing out. Roland, does that mean you get a break for a while?
Let me just, Jason, first of all, Florida Atlantic.
Oh, the big
University.
change.
Get with the branding, buddy, or you're going to be out of here. Okay, get with the branding. Florida Atlantic, and if I say FAU, smack me on.
They're tightening the ship around here, huh?
Yeah, it's a brand. We're the brand. No, that's the brand.
Well, they got to remove it off Glades then, because when I drive in every time it says FAU. So
Yeah,
it's time.
well, they're not going to get rid of that, but I think in the official.
But officially, we should start saying it more.
Yes, a little bit more. Right.
I'm personally saying they went the wrong direction because everything in branding goes, and we're going to talk about during today's show, is going the other direction. You want the shortest name possible, and the brands that do the best, are easier to say. So I understand why they did. No, I know why they did it. With the Men's Basketball League, of course, everyone's like, wait, what is FAU? It was a little confusing. But then when we look at the print material, and it says Florida Atlantic University, the Adams Center for Entrepreneurship, it's in part of the College of Business, it gets very long. And then you can't fit it on social media flyers and even the handles themselves. So I think over time, it's quite confusing.
We always have to watch after the winged monkeys of social media. I heard that term today. I thought that was great.
But what's happening at
graduation at
Florida
Atlantic? We're having record numbers of business students graduating, 1,000 in two. They split it into two graduations, undergraduate and graduate.
Yeah.
So that's tomorrow, and then also tomorrow night, the veterans program here. We work with Veterans Florida, and the Veterans Growth Group is starting. Any veteran operating a business that has revenue is welcome to join this. And what you want to do to get more information is go to Adams Center at FAU.edu. We haven't changed the email yet. It's Adams Center at FAU.edu.
Gotcha.
Any veteran is welcome who has a business that is generating revenue. So that's something we've been doing for a long time, and pretty happy how that's turned out over the years. And all kinds of other things are going on, but I could talk for an hour. But let's
jump into our guests today. We have two Johns on the show today. They are with K12 Print Inc. So it's funny we're talking about FAU and logos and stuff because these folks are experts. They've done it for over 30 years now. So one of the Johns, kick off and tell us what your brand is all about, and then we're going to jump into a deeper discussion how the brand was created 30 years ago.
Sure. Our brand is about, obviously we're a printing company, but we're pride ourselves on being the fastest, most reliable printing company in the nation, right? We deliver next day on most of our products, and that's very important to our customers. In addition to that, being K12 Print, we give back to our community, right? We think it's important to have blue collar jobs, factory type jobs, and we hire young people to do those jobs. And then we support organizations like the Boys and Girls Club with computers, transportation, things of that nature.
So I see some T-shirts, some hats, some mugs on the table here. So you're telling me I could go right to your website, put an order in it, and get it within a day or two?
That's correct.
Is that what you're telling me?
That's correct, with no minimums. Everything we do is digital, so there's no screen printing. We can print 400 shirts an hour. Each shirt can be different. So there's no
Is there
minimum.
the opposite, a maximum? Like I go to certain events where I need 500 T-shirts,
Not a
and like
problem.
many men out there,
Mhm.
right? We don't plan very well.
Right.
Females plan a lot better, I
Sure.
know. But we don't. We're like, oh crap,
Right.
I need 500 shirts, or I just come up with a good idea last minute,
Right.
and then I would like it the next day, and then I've had this issue.
Mhm.
I head over to platforms like Amazon, Vista Print, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, 14-day turnaround,
Right.
and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, why?
Sure.
It's like, most things are quickly printed, on a mug, for example, digitally, and I'm always like, why does it take so long? So that is really unique.
That's what we've been working on, and you'll hear a lot from John here as we go along. We've been working on those back end systems that allow us to do that.
That's pretty awesome. John Donato, what type of products are offered next day? Can you give us some examples and maybe the most popular ones?
Oh, sure. We offer T-shirts, hats, mugs, tumblers, all kinds of neat stuff. All promotional items. A lot of promotional items.
And even banners, like the ones
Even
behind us for the
banners,
print tank.
And there are certain products that we couldn't offer next day, but the vast majority of our products we do.
Of course.
We wanted to have an Amazon type situation, where people order it and they get it right away. People want to have their stuff.
It makes a big difference because often, I'll spend more money knowing I get it the next day. And these days we're so used to the Amazon effect, right? When something says 7 days on it to 10 days, you almost like, there's got to be a better one out there. You go right back to Google.
Right.
You start searching and see what other websites offer. And often there's another site with the same price or a tad more. And you're just willing because you just want it quicker. You don't want to leave things to chance where if you have an event in 20 days and it says 17 days and you're like, wait, what happens if there's any type of delay here? I don't like that feeling where if you could do it next day, that's absolutely huge.
Yeah, most of our customers, that's what they're looking for. Like you said, it's an Amazon world, right? People order something, they expect it, within a day or two, and we're able to deliver that on, single items and 500 items.
Why does your competition not do this then? Because I feel like most places that I've done business with, even the quickest has been like 3 to 5 days, not next day. I feel like that seems unheard of because you have to get the order, you have to do a proof, right? If I want to buy a T-shirt, and I just send you over a logo and that has the wrong image, right, or wrong clarity of the logo.
Sure.
You need to bounce back and get approval and then send it to print. So why is your competition not doing this?
Well, we have in-house graphic designers who, will work on your logo or your artwork, when you send it in. We also have an online designer, for the people that want to design their own shirt. They can design right online. It's proofed right there. So when it comes through to us, it's ready to print. There's no human intervention between the e-commerce interface and the printing press.
Well, this is pretty impressive. What do you think?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you just want to go back in time a little bit because you've been in business for 30 years or more than that. Did you found the company?
I started. Yes.
Okay, well, tell us about that. Tell us about starting this company 30 years ago
Okay.
and then how things have developed and changed and how you've been able to get these innovations that have been in the industry that made you successful.
Well, I started out manufacturing back in 1982, and I went to work for the first laser job shop in the country, and we were making cell phone parts before there were cell phones. So we actually didn't know that we were actually making the parts that were going into cell phones. And it was a Motorola engineer that I went to work for, and so there was a lot of Motorola engineers coming in. It was kind of amazing to see how because this was a time before lasers, people didn't really know what they were, it was like laser guns and ray guns and stuff. And all these engineers would come in and watch us cutting parts. You'd see the parts being cut, but you couldn't see the beam. So, you know, it was pretty amazing watching them. And it was people from Atari and NASA and Boeing and all kinds of neat people. And I decided to purchase a laser for myself and went into business. And I started making parts for Boeing and Motorola and Sony. And I got into printing by making the little lens that went on Motorola's cell phone, Panasonic cell phone. And they were manufacturing them up in Peachtree City, Georgia.
Panasonic cell phones.
That's right.
Wow, those are Excel sources, right?
Well, Motorola had developed this technology, and some of the Japanese companies were looking to make cell phones. And so they were opening little factories here in the United States. Panasonic happened to open one in Peachtree City, Georgia. And they called me and said, we understand that you can cut the lens for the front of the phone without burning the edges and stuff. And I said, yes. And would you want to cut them for us? And I said, sure. And I don't know, about an hour and a half later, she calls me back and she says, can you also print them? And I said, yeah, because there was a company here in Boca that was actually printing on plastic. And he was scratching them. And, you know, if you have a cell phone lens, you can't scratch it because people want to return the phone, so they have to be perfect. So he bailed out, and I ended up FedExing a screen printer in, and I started making those lenses. And then it went to I was probably making about 30,000 of them a week for Panasonic. And then Sony asked me to make them, and I was making them for Motorola and their pager windows and stuff like that. So I had a nice, neat little operation. But the problem was that it was at the time when manufacturing was starting to go overseas. And so Motorola had opened the plant in Malaysia, and it was like the floodgates opened, and they just all went. So I went into the commercial printing business, and I started making plastic cards when gift cards were very popular. And so I ended up printing plastic cards, which we still do today. We do a lot of ID badges. We actually make them for Amazon and people like that, their ID badges. So kind of neat. And that's how I got into printing.
Well, that's always business because
And
there's no employees.
Going back to the Motorola days, I was making a lot of electronic components for them. Okay, and so it's interesting because one of the engineers when I first started, when I was a young man, maybe 20 or 21, he came in and I had gotten friendly. I was doing the CNC programming with them, and we were growing the shop and all. And he says, I says to them, so Motorola had a television company called Quasar. I don't know if you remember, right? Right, and you would see you would hear the commercials on TV. It was Quasar by Motorola, and Motorola was a big player, and they were making all the semiconductors and all kinds of neat stuff. And so one of the engineers, I was working with him one day, and I said, okay, so now the Japanese are kicking your butt, huh? And you lost the televisions to them. And he said to me, I never forget, he said to me, we're going to come out with something now that's going to change the world, and it'll never be the same again, is what he told me. So this is an older guy, and I'm a young man. And they came out with a phone with a long antenna on it.
Oh, yeah.
And the guys that walked in that building and were talking to us were the guys that changed the world today.
I made the cell phone eventually.
They changed the world.
So how did the innovation take place over the years to get to the point where you're doing the next day services and that kind of
I'll tell you. So when the manufacturing left, since I was a young man, and you can't learn how to make things in a classroom. Just not going to happen. So the technology can't stay unless we're actually making the stuff. Because I was asked by Motorola engineers to make a case that lighted up completely blue, right? And the whole instrument was supposed to light up blue. And actually, we could actually do that. We actually figured out how to do that. And it was for the Motorola executives. And it was for a new thing called Bluetooth. And I says to him, "Hey, John, what are you guys doing over there?" And he goes, "This is going to be big. This will be big." And I said, "Okay, well, we did make the thing light up." And I realized as a young guy that you can't figure out how to make stuff in the classroom. You have to actually, young people have to learn how to make things. Because I didn't get the thing to light up first time. I had to go back. I spent all night trying to figure out, okay, why is this working and that not working? Yikes, my fault, sorry. So anyway, that's how I kind of led to this whole K12 thing. We moved our factory to Lake Worth and
Where'd you move it from?
from Boca.
Oh, okay.
We started out in Boca.
Okay.
And I moved to Lake Worth, and the young people that were applying for jobs, they're kind of, young people in survival mode. You know, they can get a tire here, they can get this there. It's a lot of that, especially in Lake Worth. And we were doing pretty good printing. I'm making millions of cards, and you know, life's pretty good. And I started thinking, you know, we could do more here. You know, we need to go to the next place here. And I figured that we could manufacture these products and put young people to work, and then take a piece of that and start educating, or starting to buy the equipment that the children need in these classrooms to have a bright future. You know, we there's a lot of kids in this county that have never left the block they live on, and that's just unacceptable.
Okay, so I want to jump in for a second, because often we see a lot of entrepreneurs, they kind of, you know, get in their business cycle and it's all going good, right? It's a lifestyle business, right? You work 9 to 5, you go to the beach, you can go on vacations, and you don't have to take this jump that you've done, right? And often people do the jump and they think that the younger generation wants to work for the brand, and they find out the hard lesson that they want to really work for Google. They want to work for Apple. And it's hard to get that generation on board working for, let's call it, like a lot of the trade business, boring businesses.
Sure.
Right. And a lot of businesses are not that boring once you get involved, because it's about the people with the business.
Right.
You know, having fun with the CEO, the president, and, you know, having outings, you know, with everyone. And then when you look at a core of the business, it all is very similar. Like every business is a tech business, right? Everyone's got emails, newsletters, and social media marketing, and you can have a lot of fun on social media marketing with boring businesses.
Right.
One was an example, Arms Auto, you know, boring business, but they have so much fun on social media. They have a huge following because, you know, they consistently put out funny posts. So I guess, you know, what made you, John, or John, the other John, either one can answer this, kind of say, hey, enough of the lifestyle business. We want to double, triple our revenue and start employing more people. And then tell us what you learned through that experience hiring the next generation.
Well, actually, you know, John came up with the idea of the people he wanted to hire and start, you know, creating these jobs, and that was important, you know, to the company. So that's about the time I joined him. That was in 2012. Okay. And since then, we've been working towards that. In 2017, we changed the company name to K12 Print. And the reason we did that is because the other part of our company is providing educational tools to kindergarten through 12th graders, right? And we found a home in the Boys and Girls Club, which really needs it. And we partnered with them on a number of things, with computers for classrooms, a bus, and we're talking about some other transportation needs with the Palm Beach County chapter of the Boys and Girls Club. But the willingness to double down, as you said, is that's always been the goal. You know, it's you know, John always says, you know, how big of a house do you need, right? You know, what else do we need?
How many more fires you need to put out a day, right, as a business owner?
That's
the more
right.
staff you have, the more fires come up.
That's
People are
true.
late to work.
That's
They're in
true.
traffic. They get in a car accident. You know, just, you know, they have medical issues. You know, they blame it on you, the boss.
That's right.
That, like, more things come up today than ever when it comes to scaling a business.
Yeah.
And most entrepreneurs we've had on the Shrimp Tank, they really struggle with what you guys are speaking about.
Yeah.
And it comes, you know, to using platforms like Indeed or like Florida Atlantic University has Handshake, right? And Handshake, I was like, oh, I got to go in and try to recruit people.
Right.
And it's really difficult. Then you find a hire, and then within 3 weeks, they quit. or that there's red flags the first
Right.
few weeks. Like, they did a great job on the interview, but you're like, hey, like, you can't take 3 days off for dentist, doctor's appointments. Like, you have to, do that on your free time, not during work hours.
That's right. Finding the right people is the most difficult part, right? We set up interviews and it's about a 50% show rate. People that actually show up for interviews after they've scheduled it. They take the time to apply and schedule the interview and then don't show. And then the ones that do, we have to weed through them and give them a try and see if they work. A lot of the jobs we have, we're training them, right? So they're coming in with no background in what we're teaching them. I somewhat believe that works to our advantage because being able to teach them in a fun way, like you say, make them feel a part of something. You see a change in them. From when they come in, they don't know how to do the work. We teach them how to do it and then enable them to kind of thrive, right? And they have a reason to get up in the morning. They have a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. And it's wonderful to see.
So you've grown the business since you came, perhaps using all kinds of community resources provided back to the community. And one thing I think was in the paper the other day.
Yes.
Right? You had an article in the paper about hiring former inmates.
Sure.
So how did that start, and how did that process work? And how many of your employees are former inmates?
Yeah, I mean, we don't just specifically say, go after someone who's an inmate, right? We do have some employees that have been incarcerated. We just do not preclude anyone from applying for us and getting a fair shake, right?
Okay, so it's not really any active search, or did they come?
It's not, but we put it out there that we're open. I don't have a felon box on the application that you're going to check, right?
Well, that's good. You'd be in trouble.
Right. You come in and you're going to get a fair shake. If you're looking for an opportunity and want to change the trajectory of your life, and you see a path through K12 Print, that opportunity is there for you. But it's work on both sides, and if they're willing to do the work, we're willing to give them a shot.
And what inspired you to kind of open yourself to that?
That actually comes from John. The article you're speaking about, Angel was a showcase of the article. Angel came to John even before I did, and he had been incarcerated, and he was trying to find work, and no one would hire him. And John, hired him. He's been with us 15 years, and he's just thrived. He's one of our most valuable employees. The guy knows everything about what we do. And, it'd be hard to get by without Angel.
Let's talk about the next generation that you have hired. What have you seen that has worked, right? Often people say, hey, like, what used to work doesn't work anymore, to really retain that next gen.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us some things that you guys have done, because you've done this since 2012 now.
Right.
I'm sure in 2012, and tell us what didn't work.
Right.
More directions.
Yeah, well, I think what didn't work is what I grew up with, right? I come from Detroit, manufacturing, and you work. That's what you do, right? You have a chance for overtime. You're there, right? You're going to work.
Play.
That's right.
Absolutely. That's how I was.
Right.
In the financial service business in New York City. It's like,
Sure.
dial away.
Right.
Set up meeting. It didn't matter. Just like, get meetings, get it done. We don't care about anything else. It's the numbers don't lie.
Right.
And then you can have fun on the weekends.
Right.
Right.
And what I find is not everyone is like that, right? Not everybody has that. We got a lot of work to do. Anyone want to work Saturday? I mean, we used to line up for it, right? And they don't want to do that anymore. So we've had to adjust to that. The people coming up, it's a different. I don't want to say work ethic, because I think they develop a good work ethic, especially once they're working for us. But they view their job differently. There's more of a work-life balance, and we have to help accommodate that.
So you do a lot with the community, as you said, and you're in Revere Beach. Is that where you're located?
That's right.
What was it, John? Palm Beach County has, I believe, the biggest income disparity in the county and the country. The poorest people and the richest people live in Palm Beach County.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that attracted you to reaching out to the community, or was it just obvious coming to work each day? What was what were the factors involved here that got you connected to that?
Right. Well, like I said, the young people that apply for us, they're in survival mode, a lot of them, right? And it was important to me to see if we could do something about that, right? So we would, excuse me, I'm trying to get my blood.
Sure. Right. Well, just like John said, the survival mode. Kids that are looking to put tires on their car, and or they have 3 mismatched tires. They're worried about a flat and all that. Once they have a steady job, and that stuff goes away, right? They're getting a good livable wage. They can raise their families and their children, and we've seen it. And all those little problems that they were dealing with goes away, and life goes from like 100 miles an hour down to about 20. Right? It slows down, and it just makes more sense, and you can see it in them.
You can't underestimate how valuable it is for somebody to get up in the morning and have something to do. It's life. It's hope. It makes people whole. Okay, so we enjoy that, and so plastic cards was great for us, but it's not big enough. Okay, we couldn't expand it enough. Okay, because people use it. But I'm sure I can't remember when the last time you bought a plastic card, right? But the shirts and the apparel would open that up for us, and that we could grow this thing nationwide, and then we would be able to help so many more people. Okay, so that was our goal, and I've watched young people come in, and they come in the morning, they turn their machine on, and they have to figure out how to fix that machine and how to run it and how we're going to do this, and it just changes lives. So I don't know that saying that people have changed, because young people haven't changed. Maybe some of the circumstances around them, but people want to have hope and a future for tomorrow. And a lot of our manufacturing went away. Okay, it all went away.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have young people in cities that have really nothing to do. I mean, there's no real good place for them to go. Burger King or McDonald's doesn't do it. We need to have manufacturing here in America. Manufacturing creates wealth. It creates job opportunities for young people that may not be college bound. And there's a lot.
Can you be specific on the type of jobs, or audience listening really can really offend it? There could be someone listening out there that sees fit, of course.
A factory has almost every job. It has bookkeeping and marketing and purchasing, and it has everything inside this building. We have to buy material, we have to do this, we have programming. It's amazing. It actually has everything. It almost could be a little city upon itself, right? And we realize that. So, in fact, one of the young men that are printing for us now, his heart is in bookkeeping. And so we are moving him from the printing department to the bookkeeping department so that his life can succeed there. Okay. And the only thing I can ask for is that if someone comes to work for us, that they leave better than they came in. They have more ability and more skills.
You train most of your people. They come in unskilled, and you train them.
We do, and we enjoy every minute of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just amazing to watch young people change their lives. Not that we're not everything, but it's important to us. It's important to me.
How long does it take to train someone to be a printer?
Oh, it could take years.
It can, and
By the time you see every last thing, why is that color doing that, or why is this doing that, or why is the machine not printing? It could take quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of,
But they get to the point, at some point, they're on their own.
Sure.
How long does that take?
Sure. Well, usually after a few months, they can pretty much run everything themselves, and then things come up that they haven't seen before, and that's the teaching moment, right? Something breaks or something doesn't go right, so we step in, explain why that happened, how to fix that, and they learn along the way. But to get them fully automated on the machine to where they can kind of do it themselves on a printing presses, a couple months.
So I go with Jim Wahlberg, Mark's brother, to celebrity golf events, and we raise money here. We go to the bank, Manhattan, so on and so forth. And I proposed to Jim. I said, we ask people for money, and that's fine, right? That's how you raise money. But perhaps we could build an engine that makes money, right? If companies or people could see their way clear in their purchasing decision to choose K12 Print, then we would be very responsible with their money, and we would put young people to work and then take a piece of that money. So the people that work for us are the ones that are actually donating the bus, and they're donating the this and that. Not me. I'm not there packing the boxes every day. I'm not the one that's doing the stuff. So how wonderful is that to have young people in the inner city, especially in up where we are, because it's an opportunity zone in the Riviera Beach, right? And not only can they support themselves and their family, their children, but they can also take a piece of that and help other kids at the Boys and Girls Club and Places of Hope and things
Now,
like
do you
that.
have a separate foundation with Jim Wahlberg, and that's how that? You talk about celebrity golf tournaments. What's the structure of all this?
Well, Jim is the executive director of the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation. So he's the one that runs that foundation. And I'm in the process of opening a foundation for us, but where we would consider taking money from folks for maybe equipment or something like that to move it forward. But it's very important to me that we earn the money, okay? That we work and we earn money, and I want that to be what the company's about. So when young people, not just young people, when everyone comes in, we earn our money, and so that's what we donate to the 15 passenger van or the so on and so forth. And
I mean, you're not a nonprofit. You're
We are not.
we are not. But we are going to take
An extension.
we're going to have a foundation so that we could take it. Jimmy wants me to do that.
And he's a
So,
co-owner of the print business.
He is.
Okay.
Yes, he's our partner, and he's I don't know.
Was he the investor that lets you grow, helped you grow?
No, we're at the point where we're self-funding everything, and I'm not sure that you can actually do that, right? And get to where you're going fast enough.
Mm.
But I had to have all our systems in place, right? So John and I have spent, I don't know, millions of dollars and many years building this back-end system. And I relate it to something like when you eat something, right? You know the front end, you know what you're doing, you're eating, right? But a million things start happening after you eat something inside you. And that's all our back-end system. Okay, the artwork came in, it's got to be checked, it's got to be right, it's got to do this, it's got to do that. All this stuff has to happen, okay? And John and I have spent an enormous amount of time doing that. So while we could build the company larger over this period of time, I opted to kind of maintain and get to the point where we could then go out and be an Amazon type company, and we would have all the back end logistics straight. And so that's what we did. And so now we're in the process of actually selling our product and going out there and reaching out to people and saying, hey, here's who we are. And perhaps we're not charging more for our product. We are very competitive. In fact, we may be, in many cases, a low price. And now it's important because I'm not asking people to give us your money so that I can give it away, okay? We need to be competitive. And I believe that because of what we're doing, we may be able to spend less money on advertising and stuff like that. And wouldn't it be wonderful if people, maybe social media and all this, people would come to us and ask us to make their stuff and let these young people do that. And give the money, or give a chunk of money to younger kids that really need it, and it wouldn't cost anything because I would have to spend that money anyway. So that's the hope of what my business plan would be like.
It's pretty awesome.
Does that make sense?
It does. We're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from one of our sponsors, and then when we jump into our next segment, we're going to go deeper on where we just left off. Good job. It's going great.
We able to talk now? Good.
30 seconds. We'll go right back on. I'll bring us right back in. And we're going to switch topics.
I just have to take this off my head.
Sorry?
I just have to take this off.
Oh. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, so it's
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. If you're tuning in live, you've got to check out all these products on the table. They're pretty awesome. John and John are talking about how they can get these products to you the next day. And if you want to chat with them in more detail, one-on-one, and pick their brain about anything that we talked about on today's show, or maybe not on today's show, it's just more detailed, call them on the Owl app. They'll be our featured experts next week. We're going to donate some of their time to connect with them one-on-one. So John and John, this on the show is called What's Hot, right? We're going to bring up a topic and tell us, what things are hot within that topic, of course. So marketing, right? This brand can't take off without marketing, right? There's word of mouth marketing, right? Because your tech gets, these products to their door the next day, and that's going to probably be huge one day. That's what happened with Amazon, right? Hey, you got to try this product out. They could get you stuff on Prime the next day, right? And then, of course, the quality helps with that. And then there's good old social media marketing, right? And it goes on and on these days. You have print marketing. You can print stuff up and put on everyone's doors, here at FAU, right? So what's the hottest way to market your brand to increase sales?
Well, now, like you said, it's social media, right? Traditionally we've been Google Ads. That has driven most of our revenue, and just recently, in the last few months, we've started social media ads. Prior to that,
which ones in specific? Because often
Facebook and Instagram.
So you're finding the best success on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, correct? Yeah. TikTok's obviously the new player on the block, right? And as we get older, these other ones emerge, and we got to reach that market. So even if we don't understand a platform, we need to find younger people to hire who do understand that platform.
Tell us a little bit about Google Ads, because when I go into Google and I made a mistake when I need an order, right? I punch something in. Of course, the big brands, dominate the top because it's so expensive.
Sure.
With different clicks. We know that's how Google works.
Sure.
So how do you compete against those big brands like Visa Print or 4 right? That just have thousands of employees, and they kind of buy the market in a way. They're losing money on that click,
right?
Knowing that person will come back, does a good service.
Sure.
So kind of how do you compete in that? And is it even profitable these days, or is it just to get a customer in the doors?
Well, through Google Ads, that's pretty much our plastic cards, right? And we're ranked very highly, even organically, with plastic cards. John started advertising on Google in the mid 2000s, right? There wasn't even a lot going on there, and so even organically, we have first page spots across the country for a lot of the keywords that sell our products. But on the plastic side, the apparel's different. Like you say, you got Vista Print, you have 4 Print, you got all the big guys that buy up those keywords, and I think that's where the social comes in, right? So that's where we're starting to focus more.
So what is hot in manufacturing that will help companies reviving it in the country? Because you talked about offshoring, and that's continuing. Obviously, you could not do this in China. You could not have this done the next day or 2 days. What other areas of manufacturing would this be applicable to that you can see some things that would help build back the manufacturing in the U.S.?
No, that's a good question. I do think that the government is getting to the point where they understand that they need to do something with manufacturing. That we've offshored our jobs for so long, and you can see it in, like I said, the young people that really don't have that opportunity anymore. And so I believe they're gonna start bringing a lot of it back to at least this continent, if not, at it. I think we actually traded with Mexico more last year than we did China. Okay, which is actually kind of unbelievable, but that's what's going on. So I think that they're trying to at least rebuild the continent, and I hope a lot of it come back to America.
Are there other industries where you might see this?
Well, and going back to your question, I think that the digital technology that's coming out, right? All the new technology allows us to make these things so fast, and I think that keeps it here, right? Like you say, it's to grow manufacturing because we can do things so much faster than we used to. Even 12 years ago when I joined John, we had one of the big old offset printing presses, right? Very laborious, very big, and took time to make things. With digital, it's a file. You upload it, you print it, and it's out the door. So I think that's going to help in other areas of manufacturing, just the emerging technologies.
Well, I think Elon was thinking about making cell phones in Texas, from what I understand. And, you know, imagine if Apple did that and manufactured their phones in California. How many more children, how many more families would benefit from this? It's almost hard to imagine, right? And maybe a husband and wife working and children being taken care. I mean, it's huge. We need to really think hard in America about bringing this stuff back.
So printing with a purpose is your, I don't know, slogan? Sure. Yeah. Looking at entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs, this sort of social interest, how hot is that? What's hot about that? Do you see that happening with entrepreneurs that you connect with, customers or suppliers, others?
Yeah, I think it's definitely important. I know with our customers, it certainly is, right? You know, when they understand who we are as a company, you know, even with you know, our customers over the years, as we've changed our technology and changed the materials that we're using, they're more environmentally friendly. That just, you know, brings people in, even if they're different than what we sold them before, right? So, and I think entrepreneurs now, the younger they are, especially, there's more of that ingrained in them, right? They want the Tom's shoes. You buy a pair of shoes, and you know a pair of shoes is given away to somebody in need. So I think you know the being tied to some type of social improvement is beneficial. I think most people look for that.
Let's talk about your tech for a second, right? What was hot about building your own custom tech? Because often we see entrepreneurs go down that route and then one day turn around and said, I should have just bought a third-party technology and not gone into the tech business, right? You have to start hiring developers, and they tend to be quite expensive. You mentioned earlier in the show, millions of dollars has been spent on your technology, but often there's someone else out there that has done it for, you know, all, you know, similar businesses, right, that operate in your arena.
Sure.
Because they can control all aspects and sell it to many, where you decided to do it, you know, yourself. So what was hot about building your own custom?
Well, we didn't have any choice. It just wasn't there when we started. I mean, we've been around since pretty much Vista Print started with their online stuff. So the companies weren't there for the software that we needed. So we went and embarked on making it ourselves. And then all of a sudden this one would show up and it'd be like, oh, well, maybe we should use that. And so it's been a real par back and forth, you know, to get to this point. I mean, think about just the shirt business. There's so many different shirts to choose from, whether it's Adidas or what Under Armour, whatever it is, right? And then there's so many different sizes and so many different colors and so many different, right? It's almost endless, right? And if you have a person that's just sitting there, what do? Can they keep track of if this color's not available anymore and all kinds of stuff? This gets deep, you know. It's not just as simple as setting up. And so we have a system that it'll automatically tell us what the inventory is, what colors are available, what sizes are available, if there's this many shirts in stock, and so on and so forth.
And design element, I'm assuming,
That's
similar
right.
like how Canva operates, where, you know, you get a logo and then boom, it could be put on something and printed on that shirt.
That's right.
Just like Canva works, but it's your own technology, you know.
And that has to be the right resolution.
Yeah.
And then it also has to go through a little phase where somebody's actually looking at it, because you have to be careful. You don't want to print anything that somebody puts in that system, because you're not quite sure what somebody would put in there.
Yeah.
So there's always that, you know, a little bit of quality control there to make sure that none of that happens. And then if a customer needs a shirt or something and there's not enough quantity of one, then, you know, we get in touch with the customer and offer them an alternative that would work out well for them, and that helps us with the next day turnaround.
And what is the hottest products being sold right now? Like if I attend a local event and I have a booth, which I do, right? I have T-shirts, right? And that comes back to like the quality of the shirt, but also the logo and the saying potentially on the shirt would make sure stand out versus another one. But sometimes there's booths that are really creative, right? There's some hot products out there. What are the hottest products that you're seeing that really catch someone's attention
Right.
are cost efficient because we don't have $1 million to hand out every event.
Sure.
There's about 1,000 things that are $50 each.
Right. You know, I think what it is if a lot of times if a brand, kind of hijacks a product for themselves, and the one that comes to mind is a moving company here locally that does the capes, right? Everywhere you go to the South Florida Fair, you see all these kids walking around with a cape with their logo on it, right?
Good Greek.
The Good Greek, right?
Yeah, they were on our show.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
pretty well.
Great. And then I think that's if you can do something like that to where the product is almost synonymous with your brand, I mean, it's genius, right? So all these kids run around with a cape. So I think it's up to the individual brand to, there's another company that it's a dog, and it's a marketing company. So they have the hand squeezy shaped like the dog that their company is. So, you have it on your desk, you're looking at the name of their company, without it being branded, but then on top of it, it's branded. So I think any of those little knickknacks, and, depending on how they market themselves.
I like it. But we're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from one of our sponsors. When we get back, we're going to jump into Roland's favorite part of this show called Plead the Fifth.
Not really.
Yeah.
Plead the fifth.
Yeah, we're gonna ask you a question. If you don't want to answer it,
Plead the fifth.
only one
You can
time.
only do it once, or they won't let you back in Florida Atlantic, not FAU. Florida. See, I caught myself
We'll
already.
go out there and give you a parking.
What's that?
I'm listening.
Everybody, welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. As a reminder, check out our website, shrimptankpodcast.com. Click our city book where it's home and connect with the Johns. We'll have their profile up on our website next week. And of course, all their social media handles as well. Okay, on this segment of the show, it is called Plead the Fifth. Each of you can only plead the fifth one time. After that, unfortunately, we can never become customers of your brand because you violated the rules of the show. Okay, guys? So I'm going to jump right into it. You said a moment ago, I caught something. You said a customer can put something in there and you got to be careful printing that because things can end up in an upload folder that should not be printed on that hat or that t-shirt or that mug. Or maybe it just violates what you guys are about and just say no to the business. They really do want to print it. So, John Donato, tell us, what was the craziest thing that you had to deny being printed on one of your products? Or plead the fifth if you don't want to answer.
Well, I recall somebody trying to buy a card from us so that they could get on a military base.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And
Sounds like bad news was about to happen.
We don't want to be providing them with badges that could get them on the
Fake ID.
Right.
I think
Fake ID.
Not uncommon. People
We
try to try it.
have people trying to make credit cards. I believe we've seen some terrorist activity. We get.
What were they doing?
It was some terrorist group from the Middle East or
Trying to
something.
get
Now,
ID cards?
ID cards for things like that. And when we get those, it's a red flag. Somebody's ordering one ID badge. They want it overnight. The address is a Google email, and the address is an apartment somewhere. So it's pretty
So
obvious.
you should order 500 instead of one.
Well, yeah. Well, you should always order 500 instead of one. Although we're happy to do one, but no, specifically with an ID badge.
What's the worst thing you've ever let through that you found printed that you had to destroy?
Oh gosh, what did we look through? Chipotle.
You want to- we printed a fundraising card, and the ones you buy from the schools, the high schools, they have all the different deals on them, and one of them had a Chipotle logo on it, and the customer did not receive permission to use that, and so they sued the customer. Our customer.
That's pretty
Giving-
funny.
They were giving
Free
away-
burritos.
Right.
They were giving away a free entree with the purchase of a taco or something, or something.
They worded it wrong, or they probably
Right,
would have got
something
fined.
small, and I guess one of the managers said, wait a minute, you're buying a 99-cent thing and we're gonna give you a $12 thing, so they went to corporate, and corporate called and said something about them making the card, and John and I looked and we couldn't find that particular card, but we found some other ones. Anyway, we ended up in the courtroom with Chipotle, and we were the ones with the deeper pockets. The guy who did it, he walked away, and we ended up paying.
You had to take responsibility for that.
We ended up paying, and we don't do anything wrong that way.
Are you required to check for those? Because I get those coupons.
Yeah, no,
Right?
no,
All these,
No, we're
ads come and you just assume that the print.
No, we're not. But when you have a company like that,
Yeah,
that,
they can blame it on you.
they have whole teams of lawyers and stuff, and you're like, so basically you just.
So this was a
What do
big
you
ad
do?
then, because it wasn't like like local elementary school went out to like a few hundred people, and
No.
half the people don't even use the
He
coupons.
was, he was
Right?
selling.
I get the coupons in the beginning of the year, like pay $100.
Sure.
Look at it, like these are pretty good.
Right.
He was selling their cards to a radio station in Jacksonville.
Well, here's the plead the fifth moment. How much money did that cost your company?
I know the number.
He knows.
About 50,000.
50,000.
Yeah, and that was to settle, and that was just to get out of it, because we would be what would be considered innocent infringers, right? Because it's up to our customer to have the permission. But
It would have cost you more to go through the whole process.
that's right. So we had to settle just.
Pay the lawyers.
That's right.
It's terrible.
Do you ever go to Chipotle anymore?
I've never been there. He went once, and I'm mad at him about it, but I've never been. I even tease my employees when they show up with it for lunch. I tell them that, your job's on the line.
If you don't bring Chipotle
That's
anymore.
right. That's
Well,
right.
Actually, Chipotle was financed by a law firm that actually bought in at the first store. So actually, the law firm is the one that owns most of it, and so you can't.
So they're pretty sensitive to this.
You
Yeah.
can't really find.
So you have to hire frequently? I mean, maybe you had hiring constantly?
Well, we're always looking for people, but we don't have a lot of employees leave us.
Okay.
Right.
How many do you have?
We have 20.
Okay.
Mhm.
Tell us about the one problem employee you had that you had to let go. What did they do? And if it's not that salacious, tell us their name so that you can plead the fifth.
Well, I think that's what we will plead the fifth on, is any names, right? No, I think it's just, we've had to let go of a few people if they're just not doing what we're asking them to do, right? And then we're not, first of all, John and I always say, you've heard it a million times, I'm never gonna ask you to do something I wouldn't do myself, right? That includes, the bath, I'll go to clean the bathroom if that's what needs to be done. So I never ask anyone to do something that I wouldn't do. But yeah, just if we're trying to get a certain process in place and they just won't follow that process, and
Was there a specific thing somebody did that they got fired?
You have to try awful hard to get fired.
You do.
With us.
You do.
Okay.
Maybe I should get a job with you.
I have never, I don't believe once, just fired somebody at that moment. I don't think I've ever done that right.
I've seen someone try to argue with John and him tell them, please just stop. Please stop. I don't want to have to fire you. Just please stop, and we'll just go back to work. He's begged them.
Zip it.
That's right. And I've seen it. I've sat right there, and but that's the only time. But
That's an important thing. I mean, that's somebody's life we're talking about. Not that we're in control of someone's life, but that's important. That's not a joke.
yeah, don't take it lightly.
Okay, right. We
So-
have responsibility to people.
So you hire a lot of non-college. How do you convince somebody, or maybe you don't do this, but there's a lot of jobs out there that people shouldn't be going to college, quite frankly. I shouldn't say this. But, there's needs, trades.
Sure.
You can make a lot of money in trades.
Sure.
You can make a lot of money perhaps working in your business.
Sure.
How do you actually try to go out and talk to people in high school and junior high and have them see the opportunity they might have if college really isn't their thing?
Well, what we do is we bring in like the Boys and Girls Club. You want to talk about that, John? The trip?
Well, we will now. We're in a different phase of the company. Okay. Before it was like building our stuff, building our systems, putting the equipment in place, making sure we can manufacture the stuff that we're talking about. You have to actually have to print that tumbler. You have to make the shirt. It has to be right. It has to wear for years and stuff like that. So there's a lot involved with the back end of everything. And now we're on the other side. So now we're into, okay, what is our training on the job? What is that going to entail? You know what I mean? You can't, it has to be on the job training. We can't run a school inside of our company, so.
But we, you know, to your point, we bring in kids from the Boys and Girls Club. They'll bring a busload of kids in, and we'll walk them through and show them the different things. We had one group come in, and there was someone there covering for a news story, and they interviewed John. And then the kids were there for about 3 hours, and this one little boy, they started talking to him, and he said, wow, he goes, you know, I see shirts all the time at the mall and everything, but I didn't know how they were made. And here they do this, and John hit the cutting room floor. This kid, you know, he just stole the show. I was ready to hire the kid in our sales department.
I thought they would be there for maybe 45 minutes. I said to John, make sure the sandwiches, make sure the cake, all the stuff for the kids and everything. They're not really super young. They're regular children.
Teenagers.
And they were there 3 hours later, following me around and asking me questions and all this stuff and everything else. And it was kind of fun to watch how these kids are. We gave Mark gave us 500 pairs of shoes from an Italian sneaker maker. They're like $300 a piece, okay, to give to the kids. So we had 500 pairs, and it's really special because we gave the kids the shoes. They open them up, but watching them pack them back up, right? Because I know, like in our house, you know, Christmas time, it's like the kids are ripping through stuff, you know, it's the next present, right? It was kind of special watching these kids pack the shoe back up and this, and I just stood back and thought, you know, many of these kids don't have the opportunity that we have, you know.
Sure.
And the kids that came in on that field trip, there was 4 of them that don't even have a computer at home, and so we took care of that. But what chance does a child have that don't have those things? They don't have a chance, right? They're way back, and so maybe K12 can make some difference there. And I know we can't change the whole world. I get it, okay? But perhaps maybe some people out there listening would say, you know, we could do some of that, or we could do some, and collectively we could then help more. And more.
What inspired you to come to this? What is it that occurred about you? You've always been this way, or something happened?
Well, like I said, when I moved to Lake Worth, you know, there'd be a young lady that would apply for a job, and I got to tell you, you could just, they get it written on their phone. I have no father at home, you know, and I thought I had to change the light above my desk, because I would lean back and I would look up and say to the Lord, really, you know, like, this is too much. And so I moved the light so I didn't burn my eyes, and then I thought, we're all given certain talents, right? And I'm not saying that I'm oozing with talent, but I would think at the end of the day, if I end up, you know, at the gates, that he would say, and you couldn't do more? You couldn't, that was it? You had this talent and everything? So I think people should try to use their talents to the best of their ability. And if you're in a room and you're there and you're looking around and seeing what everyone else needs and not yourself, you might be a lot better off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I'm happy that I was born that way, right? And I figure I got a nice home, I got a nice townhouse. We live close to the beach and everything. And my wife said to me the other day, I said, "Well, we donated some money to this," and she says to me, "When are you going to donate some money to me?" And I said to her, she was standing at the top of the stairs. I said, is there anything he hasn't given us? There's not a thing that I could say that God hasn't given us that I could say I need something else. And I think that's a great way to be at 65 years old, right? Can you think of anything better? And she agreed.
Right.
She agreed. Give me healthy grandchildren, gave me healthy children, gave us a company that can help other people. There's nothing left, right? So I'm not interested in necessarily a bigger house. I'm not going to open double doors with a pink bathrobe on.
But what are you going to plead the fifth to?
He's an
Okay.
open book.
Chipotle knocks on your door and says, "I love your mission, right? I wanna print, you know, hundreds of thousands of those T-shirts, and I really want to jump on board with this mission to help others." What do, John? Do you say yes? Let's put the past behind us, or do you say, "No way! What you guys put me through with that lawsuit, I can never look at your brand the same way." What do you do, John?
If it helped.
Or plead the fifth, you don't want to answer.
If it helps the company, the people who work for me, and the kids, I would do it.
Okay.
I would do it anything.
Well, I might have someone on the inside of Chipotle. We might have to talk about the
I
show.
would do anything for that.
We might have to talk about the show. I might know some people pretty high up in the brand.
All
Ray
right.
used to work over
When
in
you
Mather.
roll
One
it,
of our good friends left over in Mather
Sure.
and worked very, closely with the CEO on the marketing department.
Okay,
So maybe we could really make this a reality.
there we go.
Okay,
We're open.
there's not one, but here we'll go. John Kilburg. What is your biggest peeve working with John? Biggest pet peeve or plead the fifth? You want to keep your job, like he
Ooh.
said. Don't do it. Don't say it.
I've been making
Or
a
just say the words.
list
I
here.
plead the
No,
fifth.
I have a list here. No, he's an open book. I think the things that drive me crazy about him are probably his biggest assets. You know what I mean? He's stubborn. He's like a pit bull with his head through the fence and won't let go of something. And sometimes I'm like, let's move on. Let's move on.
He's blushing now. Right?
And-
Keep going. Keep going.
And I have to say, he's right on it, but it does drive me crazy sometimes.
Okay. He's not pleading the fifth. They're all. They're going to get.
No, I don't think there's the.
We spent a lot.
I guess
of
I
time
got
together.
one last.
Not a lot. He
You
doesn't
talked
know.
about custom tech for a moment. How much money approximately have you spent on that so far?
3-4 million.
Okay, your competitor really likes it, right? And that competitor could actually shut your business down pretty much.
Right.
Let's call that competitor Vista Print, for argument's sake.
Mhm.
And they say, hey, we want to buy the technology for, I don't know,
What?
3x, 10x, whatever it might be. Do you take that offer, or you don't want to answer and say, I plead the fifth? John, you know
if the company came in and wanted to continue with the K12 mission and that was beneficial to the kids and the people, then I would do it. Just that simple.
Okay, well, they are not pleading the fifth.
I would do it.
But they are a customer of ours, by the way.
Well, there you go.
We
Who was the-
actually, believe it or not, we actually showed them many programming things.
Believe it or not.
Because if you order a plastic card on Vistaprint's website, it shows up in our machine over here in West Palm Beach.
They outsource it. They're like
And,
Amazon.
and we pack it for them and ship it. And Amazon does the same thing. So Vistaprint's a customer, and so is Amazon.
Speaking of customers, what is the one customer you had to fire?
Yeah, name the company.
Ooh.
Maybe a fundraiser once or twice.
Probably a fundraiser. Yeah, there's some fundraisers out there. When I say fundraisers, they're the ones doing the cards. And I'm trying to think of the name because I would tell you the name because it really made me angry.
These are ones
We want to get that out.
These
there.
are ones that work with schools, like 204, they kind of middlemen.
Yeah, and I think I mean, the schools can do it themselves. They can come directly to us. Usually it's a parent will go out and get the deals for the local McDonald's and things like that, and the parents can come to us. And sometimes they do, right? They find us around the back end and do it themselves and save a ton of money, and it goes to the kids. Whereas the fundraisers, I think they take a big chunk of that money.
So some fundraisers you've had to, was there an incident?
Yeah. Well, I think it was a printing issue, and he had to come up to the factory on a Saturday. It was a holiday. He had to come up on a holiday, and John and I came in on a holiday just to make his things, just to And he was in the factory, and this was in the beginning, and he's really going after John, really going after him, and I almost had to step between the two guys. So after that, I didn't take any more orders from the guy. I said he wasn't welcome here anymore.
I think you're right, Jason. They're not going to plead the fifth.
They are not.
I don't want that parking ticket.
Well, you don't have to do it once.
Tickets are like $30, $40. You'll be okay. It's a donation.
Okay.
You can try to print something to get out of
There
it.
you go. Yeah.
Okay, well, for audience listening, if they want to connect with both of you, what is your website? Do you have social media handles that they can reach out, for example?
Sure. It's K12print.com. They can order products. They can reach us through there. We're also on Instagram, Facebook. Facebook's K12 Print. I think Instagram is at K12 Print. X or Twitter, I think, is K12_Print.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us here on the Shrimp Tank. Everyone tuning in. We will be back next Wednesday right around 1 o'clock. Take care.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Great show, guys.
Was that good?
That was awesome.
All right.
Yeah.